Hello, people. Today I'm going to do something a little different, and there's a couple of different reasons why I'm doing something a little different. Instead of reviewing, I'm going to actually show you the articulation on my Spinatio here. I may have already shown you the articulation on the Spinatio in the Spinatio videos, but I couldn't see one when I looked for one last, and I did the same thing with Spinatia. I was looking for a video that had a Spinatia articulation test, and I couldn't find one. So all right, I'm going to come out with Spinatio today because he's here, and Spinatia tomorrow because I feel bad that I didn't get to show you guys those. And I was like, oh yeah, and I already had done it in another video. And then I looked at the other videos, I'm like, uh-oh. So let's go ahead and cover what this guy can do. So this guy, he's very, very flexible compared to some of the other 30-minute missions. You know, you have that ball joint style head, and the neck is on a rocker, so it works pretty well like that. On the shoulder, there's two different types of shoulders when you get these guys. One is a longer one and one is a shorter one. The longer one, they usually put a clip that goes on there so the armor can cover up that shoulder. That actually affords you a little bit more articulation on these ones, but the smaller one does about the same. I keep the longer ones in because I usually use them with armor. Obviously with this one, I don't have it on. But that ball joint is very, very, very flexible. You can move that quite a lot. There is some worry that this one will wear out because it is a soft plastic, but as long as you don't abuse it, you're going to be doing okay. On this one right here is a hinge that lets you get it really nice and tight in here and all the way around to the top. So that is a lot, and then of course, because that is a ball joint, you can revolve that all the way around as well. At the top of the shoulder here, you do have a point of articulation, which allows you to turn that around. Of course, it's supposed to be, you know, this way. You know, we turn that back around. One point of articulation in the elbow, and it does allow you a lot. Pretty tight in there. But unfortunately, it is only 1 point of articulation. Still, you get a nice straight to way more than 90 degrees, which, you know, that's more than you can ask for, really. With the other joints in conjunction, you can get things like a reach all the way over to the other arm. You can get a really high pose like so. You can get quite a lot of different angles with these different joints. And of course, last on the arm is the ball joint at the wrist. It is pretty freely spinning, but this one tends to be looser because of the way this is designed. It's a half and half on this one, so if you don't squeeze that all the way tight together, you can lose the grip on that one. If these separate somehow, that'll make it real loose. Moving on to the waist, you have a ball joint that plugs up into his chest and allows for quite a lot of motion there. In conjunction to that, you actually have a pivot joint inside here where this back part is plugged into the front, and you can get it to go like so. That allows for some really crazy posing if you really want to. It's quite an athletic form. You do it, you know, with the camera, you know, just right. It looks like he's diving for something, ready to catch something, doing a super dynamic punch. You know, it's pretty cool. You get creative with it. There's also another ball joint in the bottom, so you can get even more out of it. That ball joint can sometimes get loose, but that's because of the same thing with this one. It's smushed between these two, so you make sure that's nice and tight, and that'll stay in pretty well. The same with the top, but that one, you know, it stays together a lot better. At the waist, or at the hips, you're going to have two drop-downable joints that slide down, and of course they adapt to these upper thighs here, but you can get, like I said, a lot out of that. If you hide it from the camera, you know, it looks like you can get quite a bit out of it. If you have armor on it, it's even better. But those will go all the way to the front too, so if you want a running pose, maybe that helps. And then to the upper thigh itself, because that is a peg here, that's actually going to be able to rotate on that hip. And then you're going to be able to rotate these two parts together to make him go outward and inward. And then it is ball jointed to the top of the leg here. So you get not so much, but there is a point of articulation there. If you work it really well, you can do more, but I would not do that. I would not recommend it. Moving down to the knee, there is a double jointed system here. So you get the one at the top, which lets you go all the way 90 degrees. The one at the bottom, which also lets you do about 90. Both together, you end up with something like this. If you use the lower end to go further, it still ends up hitting the back armor there. So you can't fold it flat, but pretty close. Unfortunately, there's no spin point here at the knee. That's okay, though. Down here, there is a point of articulation that allows that foot to rock back and forth. It can actually go further, but this one is blocking it, so the armor on the foot ends up blocking with that armor there. But there is a ball joint style connector in the foot here, which allows you to rotate it quite a lot. And that's so that you can have some really dynamic poses, you know, something like this, or when you spread them out real wide, it can bear the weight. And it allows you a lot of freedom of motion. This one is one of the most dynamic model kits that I've seen that isn't specifically designed just for posing. So it's pretty incredible. I really, really enjoy working with the Spinatios. I wish I can get more imaginative poses. That's something I really need to work on personally. So overall, I think with the combination of all of these joints, the Maxion is really the one for the posing champions. If you're a poser too, this is going to be the one that you want. It's really, really cool. It's a really expressive unit overall. I think that you'll enjoy it. Now, I'm going to probably put a link to this video in all of the descriptions for the other Spinatios that I have reviewed so far, so that you guys can, you know, link to this if you need to see it. I hope this is informative. If it's not, please leave it in the comments and say, hey, you know, you don't need to be doing this. It's a little bit extra, but I definitely wanted to make sure I covered this thing, because when I first started videos, reviews, I didn't have a real structure, and now that I'm doing them regularly, sometimes I think I did things that I didn't because I've made so many videos recently. So let me make sure that I follow my script and make sure I show that to you properly. But in the meantime, I can definitely cover anything that I might have missed. So that is also why it is important to leave a comment if there's something that I overlooked. Sometimes I do read my script but don't follow it. So just let me know if, like, hey, this one you didn't do the accessories that came with it, or this one you forgot to show off this articulation, you know, things like that. So keep me honest, you know. I appreciate that. But with that, thank you, Mr. Spinatio, for showing off your moves. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you guys for watching. So I will see you guys next time, or you'll see me, but more than likely you'll see my stuff. Bye-bye.